Day 12. Channeling with Source. Welcome to this day. Breathing in and relaxing. You are a light warrior. And by light warrior, we mean a being with the heart of a warrior, knowing that the only territory is the light and everything which is in its way. Warrior is a very heavily intense word. A warrior has to go through a training of really being exposed to what is beyond his or her comfort zone. That's why we use that terminology. It is not to be at war with anything or anybody outside yourself. It is starting that training, the inner journey, because you take that training within yourself. You know that no wars outside yourself could ever be meaningful, because they would be the projection of what is unresolved within, intensified in the outside world, fueled by thoughts and emotions stemming from the ego over power. Who's right, who's wrong? There's a winner, there's a loser. This is full-blown polarity at work when you haven't mastered taming the polarities. You are driven by them. You feel and you experience life as being a victim of your circumstances, of your wounds. When you are a warrior of light, you've been shown, explained that these wounds, these circumstances which are challenging, are not here to punish you. We've already mentioned that. They're not here against you. They are there in your life experience, for your training. They are there because you were told lies about yourself. You were told beliefs that are very subjective, do not necessarily apply to you. You were given a view, a perspective on reality which is very narrow focused. You were told that things work this way, and if this happened, it means that. You were told that everything is conditional, that in order to get A, you need to be good at B, or you need to be clever, you need to be experienced, you need to be this or that. You were told that one side is better than the other, and your ego mind followed that, because the ego has been designed to avoid pain and follow pleasure. The ego mind doesn't want to lose itself, die, because that's what it feels like when some labels, some identification, some aspects of you are transmuted. The ego feels it like a death. Ego death is a terminology that is quite common in your world. What does it mean? It means that what used to define you, what you used to identify with, how you reacted to certain things, doesn't apply anymore. And if you can change, you as in one, if one can change in terms of growing, in terms of understanding that what used to be doesn't apply anymore, it confirm and corroborate the fact that the ego is just a sum of beliefs, a sum of experiences, the sum of trauma, and more. As we said yesterday, the ego, the mind, was never designed to be the driving force in your life. It is used to be a servant. It is what takes you from A to B. So, a light warrior is a being who has gone deep within himself, herself, and has felt, experienced, tamed the monkey mind, otherwise called the reptilian mind, has experienced what it feels to be in that survival brain, has understood how restrictive it feels, how painful it is to associate and be determined and defined by what happens to you. And this was part of the training. How could you teach yourself, train yourself, or just understand that you can choose to detach if you haven't been in the experience, fully immersed, fully associated? Suddenly, when you shift into detaching yourself from the experience, and you can feel that your emotions are so intense, you feel them and acknowledge them and welcome them. Slowly but surely, the intensity fades because you have decided to not fuel them anymore. You just observe them. Sooner or later, a fire which is not fed with new wood, new logs, will stop. That's what happens with the emotions. And you're able to look, feel, sense the issue, the event, the story, free from the fuel. And then is the magic. Then is the process of creation in its magnificence, for you are able to re-imprint that experience with a new emotion, a new meaning, where it's been transformed, where it's been transmuted. And there is the training of the warrior of light, knowing that if the fire is still burning within and you look for a cause outside of yourself, you can ignite the whole earth and it will not extinguish the fire within. There is no answer outside. There might be a temporary relief, which is what society uses and programs people with by making them believe that when they get that, when they feel this way, if they manage to reach that goal, if they create that level of wealth and abundance and fitness, and then they will feel this way. But this is only short term, because the goal is only the tool of the mind. The heart knows that the process is the gold. Gold, not the goal. The gold is in the alchemy of the process, for once you have mastered that inner shift, inner transformation, the sacred transformation, then you are free forever. It is like your Chinese proverb. If you want to feed somebody, you could give them a fish, or you could teach them to fish, and they can feed themselves for life. The process has always been the goal, but society has developed and created a system which is solely focused on the goal. And that's why, as we explained yesterday, so many of you reach their goal and only have a very evanescent feel of joy. Some scientists have called it the hedonic adaptation. Nadej loves anything to do with the science of happiness. She has been reading a lot about the science of happiness by Sonia Lyubomirsky, and it's incredibly interesting to look at the myths of happiness, which is exactly what we have described, and how your scientists call the hedonic adaptation the fact that a new situation in your life will bring a thrill. But like when you go through a negative or tragic event in your life, you have the capacity to adapt. When you go through something positive, you equally adapt. So it is a great thing that when a tragedy happens, time heals and allows you to revert or get back to a way of functioning with normality, a new normal for you. When you go through something positive, the same thing happens. You adapt. The scientists will tell that for a new relationship, the time of adaptation is 2 years. Generally, as a rule, everything new, thrilling, exciting has a shelf life of a few months to 1 or 2 years. And then it becomes your new norm, where the mind again looks and seeks for new pleasures. Whereas the heart, which is absolutely connected to the process, whereas the heart knows that the journey is the goal. Let's make that the message for today. We love you beyond worlds and beyond words. Namaste.